Thank you for that, Vandana. And up next, we have Zen. Zen, if you'd go ahead and unmute your audio. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Vandana Shiva. It's so good to see you again. I'm Zen from Moms Across America. And you know, we've been working on trying to get glyphosate banned for a long time. And you mentioned glyphosate. I have two questions. One, do you know if the areas in India where they're particularly hit by COVID are agriculture areas where glyphosate was sprayed that may be weakening immune systems, you know, killing off the beneficial gut bacteria? And two, I'm sure you're aware of the recent glyphosate study that showed that 94% of the bees were killed when Roundup was sprayed on them, and 96% of the bees were killed when it was Roundup without glyphosate, showing that it's not just glyphosate, it's the, you know, the co-formulants, which have never been approved, right, by our EPA. The final formulation's never been approved. So my question is, how can the global community accept such wide spraying of an herbicide that hasn't been declared a pesticide? You know, it wasn't said when it was used that it also kills bees. Is there anything we can do as a global community to stop that and to get it off the market?
So, you know, a few years ago, I think it was 2017, with the communities I work with and a community in the Alps, in the village called Mars, where they banned pesticides for a while, where apple orchards are the biggest reason for spraying, and the state of Sikkim, which declared a whole region, it's like the state of Maine going organic, we started a poison-free campaign. So that's the only way to be able to deal with this whole class of poisons that have no place in agriculture. And of course, this is not an either-or solution. It's not the case that when we go for all the poisons to build bigger awareness of how to grow healthy food, we don't go after particular chemicals which are causing particular harm. We needed those cases, cancer cases, we need them. We need particular governments like Mexico. European governments tried and they were cheated and became 5 years, and they're trying to again bring it down to 3 years. But the pressure shouldn't come off anywhere. But local councils in France started to declare themselves as glyphosate-free regions. And then, of course, the mafia came down on them, and they just won cases. You know, the mayors have won cases. So we have a right and a duty to protect our people from the harm these things cause. When you asked about the COVID, tragically, you know, the first round of COVID was all imported. You know, it all came on planes. You know, it's a luxury traveler, came on planes. And then when that first bit was over and, you know, we calmed it all down, this round is in the big cities more. And even when it goes to villages, it gets carried from the cities. So it is a globalized, you know, it's caused by the globalization of agriculture and invasion into forests, and it spreads through globalization. So it is a disease of globalization.
Thank you, Vandana. Up next, we have Aiden. Aiden, if you go ahead and unmute yourself. Thank you. Hi, Aiden.
Hello. My name is Aiden, and I'm a youth activist, and I'm a climate activist, and I also follow your work. I just got your book. I really am inspired by all that you're doing to fight the GMOs and Monsanto and everything like that. I'm also concerned that some of the climate activists around me aren't really aware of how much Bill Gates is trying to impose kind of a global oligarchy sort of, and I'm worried that some of them think he's a great philanthropist, and that I feel like the billionaires are kind of taking over the climate movement, and I wondered how we can not allow that to happen. I believe in holistic health, and sometimes, like you said, sometimes YouTube censors that, and sometimes even some of my friends don't agree with it. So I was wondering how I can deal with it.
Ethan, so I'm so glad you believe in holistic health. And for me, climate activism is seeing that the holistic health of the planet has to be brought back. That's why I talk about climate action as earth care, because that's where the shift happens. You know, when it's about the new technological fix, the billionaires always have more money to offer the next more costly fix. And for this, I would request you to read on our Navdanya international website. The earlier website was navdanya.org, my work in India. But we also have a Navdanya International, where there are 2 reports that you can read and share with your friends in the climate movement. First is Gates to a Global Empire. Last year, I realized, my God, you know, not just health, not just WHO, FAO, he's stolen the Food and Agriculture Summit and taken it to New York to be headed by a person he appoints. And it's all about technological fixes. It is not about food anymore. It's not about the right to food. It's not about the right to healthy food. It's about selling fake food. Yeah. So read the Gates to a Global Empire. It has the Impossible Burger. It has geoengineering. You know, geoengineering is one very dangerous solution, pseudo solution. And Gates is the biggest financier of this. So Gates to a Global Empire is one report. And the second more specific one is fake solutions to climate change. And these are all techno fixes that Gates has offered. And beginning from methods of agriculture that cause climate change, you know, he's done this book. And of course, he can sell in billions. But I've had to work since the days of my early days on fertilizers that they came from Hitler's labs. Yeah. And then time they used to say, oh, we'll grow food from air. Yeah. Same method made explosives. Same method made this white salt. And if you remember, every fertilizer explosion, whether intentional, like the fertilizer bomb in Oklahoma, in Oslo, in New Delhi, in the High Court, or all the fertilizer bombs in Afghanistan, are intentional use of fertilizer explosive. But Beirut last year lost 200 lives because fertilizer kept in a warehouse exploded. That's what it's supposed to be. And it is 300 times more damaging to the metabolism of the planet. And not only that, it runs off into the oceans and is creating dead zones. And the oceans are a very important absorber. And when the zones are dead and there's no life for absorption, you're going to have even more buildup of climate change. Soils are dying because I gave the figures of how soils are dying because of nitrogen fertilizer. Now here is really selling the problem as the solution. It's in his book. I'm not claiming this. I'm not saying he said this. I'm saying he is saying this. And this chapter, you know, for me, this chapter is very telling. We are not machines. Plants are not things. This chapter on agriculture, where he's offering fake solutions, he calls it How We Grow Things. Mr. Gates, things don't grow. Life grows. Plants grow. Children grow. The soil organisms grow. This is the old, obsolete, 400-year-old mastery paradigm to conquer the earth. The mechanistic paradigm denying life and its processes. It is so obsolete, and the fact that it's married now, as it was then, to big money. You know, Bacon, called the father of modern science, was the Chancellor of England. Yeah? So money and fake knowledge, pretending to be true knowledge, criminalizing real knowledge, has been there since the beginning of this system. True knowledge evolves in an embodied way, in a relational way, in a responsible way. So the fact that they have big money is not new. It's not new at all. Slavery, colonization was all based, it's the same pattern. So just because the size and the zeros add up much more, don't get worried about the zeros. Think of the fact that they are human beings. They should be held accountable. Your generation in the climate movement has first to learn the earth systems, learn living systems, learn what you're doing, holistic health, and bring that learning of living systems to climate solutions. So I say earth care is the true climate solution. more war on Earth will create more climate havoc and more other havoc.